to Vancouver. Just remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until it secured to the dock. Don't forget to take the yellow straps off as well for your life preserver. Once you're at the dock, one of us will come back up the door for you. Have the flight crew over there. Thanks for traveling. Now this morning, enjoy the flight.
Thank you.